You were on Our Hen House once before, and the book wasn't
Twice
even
before, twice before.
sorry. The book
What?
but the book wasn't even like an embryo yet. So I wanna just go back in time a little bit. When did the book come about?
Well, the book has been kind of gestating in the background for about 5 years, but it's not been something I thought that I was just going to write a book. Uh, it's just that, there was a feeling that there was something emerging, but I was very insecure about writing a book. I'm a songwriter and write captions and essays and blogs and whatnot, but a book. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so whenever I finally decided I might write a book, I started down the path of ghostwriters, and I was not happy at all with that process. I didn't like it one bit. And so my friend, who y'all know, Jane Velez Mitchell, she said,
Mhm.
Renee, you write the book. You write it.
Sounds
Right.
exactly like her.
Yeah, actually, that was a pretty good impression, I have to say. I don't mean to interrupt you, I wanna hear more about this, but I wanna just say to our listeners who might not know, so it's very, very, very hard to get a book published by a traditional publisher about veganism. I mean, let alone having vegan on the title. Like Renee, when one of the other hats I wear is that I help people get books published. And I went on to Publishers Marketplace and typed in vegan. And in the last year, two books that weren't cookbooks sold. And yours was one of them, or, the last few years. And
Right.
Joanne Molinaro's was another one, the Korean vegan. That's it. And I will tell you probably like 100 times that at least got pitched. So you somehow broke the glass ceiling there. How did it come to be, and what was that process
And
like for
and I
you?
I have to add with an excellent publisher.
Yeah, well, truly. I mean, you're doing it.
Yeah, and the whole process was so surreal, honestly, because it was just kinda like I just kept knocking on doors, very gently. I wasn't trying to beat any door down. I was really coming from a place of, if it's meant to be, it will be. Um, when I realized I wasn't gonna work with a ghostwriter, I really thought that was the direction I was gonna go because I didn't think I could write a book, but it was so daunting, and it was not delivering what I wanted at
Yeah,
all.
it's hard.
It's hard, yeah, and so when Jane said, "You write the book," I was like, "Well, what am I supposed to write?" And she said, "Just write the first chapter and call me and read it to me." I said, "What's the first chapter?" She said, "Just start writing." And so that's what I started doing. Start at the beginning. And so I started writing, and then I would call Jane and I would read her what I wrote, and she was like, "Renee, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. This is good. Keep writing. Keep writing." And so,
Yeah.
because Jane won't blow smoke up your ass, she'll tell you
No.
straight up.
No, she won't. No.
No, and so anyway, she gave me a lot of encouragement, and so I kept writing and writing and writing and writing and writing until it became into the form of a book that I thought I was finished. And as you know, I can still keep writing. In this book, I could keep editing, but at some point you got to go. It's done. So anyway, I won a contest with the vegan publisher in the UK. I entered my book in the vegan publisher contest, and I won. And so I got a gift, like a prize of $8,000 to self publish. And she was going to help me, edit, get the cover, do all the things I needed to do to self publish on Amazon. Well, during the process of self publishing, I met my agent, who I didn't know was going to become my agent, Cameron Waters, who is co producer and co director of
Oh,
Christ.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cameron's been on the podcast.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so he's a good friend of mine. So, Cameron, and I were talking one day, and he told me about this person that he knew, Amy McConnell, and she's got all kind of impressive background in all kind of publishing houses and stuff. And so I met her, and she read the first chapter of my book and was like, the first chapter of what was then my book, because it's not the first chapter now, it's changed.
Right.
But she read it and she was like, Renee, you do not need to self-publish. You need a genuine publisher. This is great. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, what do you think I should do next? And she said, I'm going to, look for you some agents. And so the next thing you know, she's given me like 3 or 4 different agents to interview. And
I
so
love it.
that's how it started, And so I started interviewing agents, and my first one was with United Talent Agency, and then that didn't work out. This person ended up getting let go of her job like 9 months later, and then I got kind of passed off to this guy that I didn't really jive with at all. And so it was like a year of just like being in limbo, like I didn't know where my book was going. And then, but this guy that I really didn't jive with did get a proposal written and did submit it to all these publishing houses, and Bloomsbury did bite. And
Awesome.
so, but when he did, my agent said, they're not going to give you a big enough upfront bonus. They were giving me a bonus, but it wasn't big enough for their publishing house. And so he pretty much let me go. So here I had
Wow.
a book deal with a publisher and no agent. And I just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I was talking to my friend Amy. This is like a year or so later, a year and a few months. And Amy said, gosh darn it. She lives in Nashville. She does the Writers Fest every year. She's an amazing, amazing human. She's, gosh darn it, I'm going to be your agent. I said, you are? And anyway, so she's been amazing, and she's gotten me, she's put one foot in front of the other for me, helped me get all my editors, which was fabulous. The publicist I have right now is a direct referral from her, and so it
That's
just
great.
became like the doors kept opening.
You've been on the podcast, as I mentioned, twice. Jasmin was probably just remembering you were on really recently, I think in 2023, but you were on in 2015. So we go way back.
Way back to the
back.
beginning.
And, probably a lot of our listeners know your story. Probably some of them don't. And I would like to get a recap, but I just want to, the book is fascinating. It really is. The glimpse into your journey, the glimpse into your life. And this is no offense meant, Renee. It's actually the reverse. But honestly, one thing that really comes through is that earlier in your life, you were kind of a hot mess. I mean,
Oh my God,
what a
please.
story.
That is an
Your life
understatement.
was chaos.
Understatement, Mariann. I was a hot, sloppy mess.
So the thing I'm curious about, relating it to where you are now, do you feel that part of your life that you went through, and people have to read the book because we couldn't possibly recount every disaster, did that hold you back from getting where you are now sooner? Or do you think that was just a necessary part of what you had to go through to understand what you understand now?
Great question. I really do believe that it was it was all required. It was the ingredients that it took to bake this life. And without those special ingredients, the secret sauce. I mean, I think my hot and messy sloppy self was the secret sauce.
I love
And
that.
yeah, I really do. Because, I don't recommend, people, skate the edge of death every time they turn around like I did. But as a result of getting through all that, recovering and coming to the other side, I have so much rich depth in my character now as a result of all the self-reflection I've done, all the inner work, deep inner work. And it's been tough, but I've done it.
Well, so if you were to go back to Renee as, let's say, like a 18-year-old and tell her something that, she would never have guessed about her future, what would it be? Like what or should I say, like, what advice would you have for her that she wouldn't listen to?
That she wouldn't listen to. Well, I remember when I was in my early 20s, I had just done a bunch of meth. I was, telling how much I had drank. I used to, I used to do IV drugs as well. And I had just done a boatload of drugs. And I remember standing outside in the parking lot, and this is so vivid in my mind, thinking, this is all required, Renee. It was like a voice said to me, this is all required, Renee. You're going to get through it.
Wow.
So, what I would tell her is, you're going to go through some stuff, but the only way through is through. And what you have to hang on to is faith, and just know that you're going to get through it.